Here is another great video, discovered and brought to you by Quantum Investor, your wealth partner.
A couple years ago, I was doing this 5-day intensive personal growth training, 12 hours a day. Biggest challenge came on the final day. Final day was stretch day. Purpose of stretch day was to stretch your capabilities and your comfort zone and do something you wouldn't normally do. The assignment was to go out into the community of Chicago, strike up a meaningful conversation with somebody you wouldn't normally talk to. And the way that you would know if it was the right person or not was when your heart was racing with fear. That's how you knew that that was the person you were supposed to talk to. And everybody in class had a stretch buddy. Richard was my stretch buddy. Went to a mall in Chicago, walked into the food court, gave each other the high five, go get him Richard, go get him Scott, and off we went looking for our willing volunteers. First two people I see in the food court are two ladies having lunch. Now, I have been single my entire life. I have been turned down more than a king-size bed at the Ritz. I mean, a little bit more rejection, come on. Next table, two police officers. No big deal. Next table, a table for six. 6 people at the table. These folks are in their 70s or 80s. They're speaking a foreign language, and not only are they speaking a foreign language, they are fighting in a foreign language. Right in the middle of lunch, I'm thinking I can't go over there. I start to turn away, and all of a sudden, oh no. And you know how you know when you need to do something, and you come up with all the reasons, maybe now is not the time. You just need to do what? Go do it. So I walked over to the lady at the head of the table, and we made eye contact, and I said, excuse me, do you mind if I sit down and talk for a little while? And she looked up at me, and in English she says, "What do you want from us?" I really don't want anything. I would love to just sit and talk. She just stared at me. Story to be continued in just a couple minutes. When was the last time this career of yours caused your heart to race with fear? Maybe it's knowing it's time to reinvent yourself, making you more marketable, more fresh, more relevant. Maybe it's letting go, as Joe Calloway says, letting go of what no longer works or serves us. Good news is comfort never produced greatness. The true measure of success today is your ability to transition, because we are in one permanent state of impermanence. Finally, she said, "Sit down." Yes. So I pulled up a chair and I wedged it right in the corner of the table, and I sat down, I introduced myself. I said, "Hi, I'm Scott, I'm from Denver." They introduced themselves around the table. They were a family from Poland that had come to the United States via Canada. We're now living in a suburb in Chicago. John was sitting at the far end of the table, silver streaked back hair, piercing blue eyes. He looked at me and he said, "Scott, are you a Jew?" Am I a Jew? I thought that was kind of a funny question. I wasn't wearing a yarmulke. I had no Star of David. There was no indication to say that I was an attorney or a doctor. I said, "Well, John, as a matter of fact, I am Jewish." He said, "Well, then we need to go talk." And he got up from the table and he came around the table and he grabbed my arm and he took me to a table at the very back of the food court and he started to tell me about World War II. He says, "Scott, when the Germans invaded Poland, they took me and my family and they put us in a work camp. Things were bad in the camp, but not near as bad as they were across the tracks where they kept the Jews. Not 1 hour would go by where there wasn't some kind of screaming, and I always wanted to do something and I couldn't and I didn't. And then one morning, the screaming had stopped, and I never had a chance to say, 'I'm sorry. They're gone. You're here. I'm sorry.'" Tears were streaming down his face. Tears were now streaming down my face. And here I thought this exercise was all about me. Some of the biggest blessings, some of the biggest lessons in life are when we come to the realization that it's not about us, it's about them. We talked for a little while longer. We got up, we hugged goodbye. I went back to class for the next 2 hours. It was like show and tell. We talked about, we did the debrief thing. It came down to how we approach fear in our lives. If you think about it, are your most defining life moments when you're moving toward fear or away from fear? It's usually toward fear. Sometimes we choose fear, sometimes fear chooses us, or those experiences do. We need to remember comfort never produced greatness.
Thank you for watching.